Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be covering the best bargain forwards you can buy to help get the maximum value out of your team. If you're unsure which cheap forwards you should be targeting this season, then this is the video for you. If you do enjoy today's video, then why not drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as we're super close to hitting 250 subs, and if we can do that, that would be absolutely amazing and massively appreciated by me. Also, let me know down in the comments below if you have any of the players covered in today's video already in your squad, or you're going to add them into your draft. But without further ado, let's dive into today's video. And to start off today's video is the man on the thumbnail, and the man I believe is probably going to be an absolute hidden gem at the start of this season. It is Undav from Brighton and Hove Albion. Last season, he was the top goal scorer in the Belgian Super League, playing 33 games, scoring 25 goals and getting 9 assists. As you can see, absolutely whopping statistic there. 65 chances created. As I just noticed, I've made an error. He's actually valued at 5.5 million, but I imagine that won't be at that price for much longer. I did a little bit of digging into Undav as I was looking around the 5.5 million forwards for my own team, and I discovered that this man has been an absolute gem of a player over the past few years. 1.06 goals and assists per 90 last season. That is absolutely phenomenal statistic there, right there. He's going to get a goal or an assist every 90 minutes, which is absolutely astronomical value. Like, unbelievable how Brighton have pulled this off. Over the past 3 seasons as well, he's not even just a one-season wonder, this guy. 93 games played, 59 goals and 24 assists. A total of 83 goal contributions in 93 games. Ladies and gentlemen, if I told you that Manchester City signed a player with 83 goal contributions in 93 games, he would be the highest rated player, highest ownership, player on the game. But he's not. He's playing for Brighton and he's £5.5 million. What are we doing looking elsewhere? This man could be an absolute steal. A player that I'm seeing like barely anyone discuss on Twitter, on YouTube at the moment. He is going massively under the radar, and I think the start of the season could be the time to get on him. Obviously, Brighton have had quite a few issues over the past few years with nailing down a consistent forward. Obviously, they hoped that Neil Maupay would be that man, but that's just never really materialised, has it? I probably imagine it's due to his attitude and kind of other off-field issues that he has. But yeah, Brighton have been looking for a quality forward for the past few years, and this man could be it. There's also a few question marks about potentially being on penalties, as he took a few last season in the Belgian Super League. So could he be on penalties this year for Brighton? Obviously, they have been kind of rotating when Maupay's not playing amongst themselves. So Undav could really settle in, get himself on penalties. And if he can get off to the start that he's done for the past 3 seasons, then this man could be an absolute bargain for everyone's team at 5.5 million. Let me know, have I convinced you to take a look at Undav or put him straight into your team? Let me know down in the comments below. Moving on, we have a little cheeky head-to-head comparison. I'm enjoying adding these, and as you can see from the last video, we've also updated them as well. So with the players highlighted in green, the stats highlighted in green, that then means that that player has won in terms or got more of that said statistic. So comparing the 2 players we're going to look at Brendan Johnson and Awoniyi. Sorry if I have pronounced that wrong. Yeah, that's something that I quite frequently do, and I imagine a lot of FPL managers at the moment are trying to pronounce this man's name, but I thought I'd do a head-to-head comparison between the 2 Nottingham Forest forwards. Forest have an okayish start to the season, playing Newcastle, West Ham, Everton, Tottenham, City back-to-back, very sketchy, Bournemouth, Leeds and Fulham. So 2 of the top 2 last season within the first 8 games isn't ideal, especially when they're back-to-back. But there are some absolutely amazing fixtures in there, so I definitely think it could be worth having a Forest player. The 2 that have decided to compare are Johnson and Awoniyi. I'm just not going to bother saying his name at this point. But let's take a look at Johnson first. It was his breakthrough season last year in the Championship for Nottingham Forest, and what a season it was for him. 16 goals, 10 assists, and a whopping 59 chances created as well. Really good season from him. What a player he is. I've loved watching games with him in this season. I think it was the Wales qualifier as well. He came off the bench, looked really good, really dynamic, really fast player, not afraid to take people on. In terms of goals and assists per 90, he was averaging 0.60 last season, which is very good, very good for a player of his standards. But I do have some question marks around whether or not I would want Johnson in my team. Number one, has he got the physicality for the Premier League? If you look at his stature, he is not the biggest or the muscliest of men. But I think my bigger concern is, will he actually play up front, or will he kind of play in a more wider role, as I've seen with Wales and at times with Forest last season? There was question marks around his position. Would he be a midfielder? Would he be a forward? It's definitely something to consider looking at over pre-season. Will they play a 2 up front? Will he play a little bit more wider? If he plays a little bit more wider, for me, he's not as an appetising option, with forwards getting less points for assists. But comparing him to the man on our right, obviously Nottingham Forest record signing from Union Berlin. Union Berlin finished 5th last season in the Bundesliga, and it was a big help to this man, who scored a great total of 15 goals. Nowhere near as many as Brendan Johnson, nor did he get as many assists, but with forwards, we're not too fussed about that. My only concern with Awoniyi is the fact that last season was the first time he's ever scored 10 league goals in a season, but that previous high, I believe, before that was 9. So, you know, is he a one-season wonder? Is there potentially going to be a little bit of Bundesliga tax on this man? I'm not as convinced as I was prior to doing my research into this guy. Again, goals and assists per 90, higher than Brendan Johnson at 0.66. Personally, if I had to pick an option right now to go in my team, I would be leaning more towards Johnson. I think he's a lot more nailed as well. Within that Forest side, obviously Steve Cooper knows what he's about after last season, and he'll be looking to make that step up and build on his performance. But Awoniyi is a good option, and I'll just have to see how he settles into the Premier League, see if he can, you know, continue his form from last season, or whether or not there's going to be a little bit of Bundesliga tax on him and his numbers are going to diminish. But let me know, are you convinced by either of these two players? And the next player that we're going to take a look at is Bournemouth's Dominic Solanke. 29 goals, 7 assists in 46 games for the forward last season. Second highest goal scorer in the Championship as well last season. I think it was kind of put under kind of a little bit of a dimmer, the fact that Mitrovic did score so many. I think a lot of people aren't as hyped for Dominic Solanke as they should be. I feel if he came into the Premier League with the 29 goals and was the top goal scorer, his ownership would be a lot higher. I also think it's down to Bournemouth's fixtures being very stinky at the start of the season. Aston Villa at home, City away, Arsenal at home, Liverpool away, and then it kind of, you know, gets better. Wolves at home, Nottingham Forest away, Brighton at home, and Newcastle away. So I think if you are going to look to potentially own any Bournemouth players or Dominic Solanke, I'd probably say bring him in after game week 5. And if I remember correctly, Brighton do have good fixtures till about game week 15, 16 after that point. So he's definitely a player to see how he gets on, see if he's adapted back to the Premier League. Obviously did play in the Premier League before, and it just didn't really work out for him, did it? He only scored 4 goals last time over like his accumulation time in the Premier League, but since then in the Championship he's been a bit of a monster. 44 goals in 86 games. That pretty much works out at a goal every other game, which is what you want from your forwards. On penalties as well for Bournemouth as well, which is what we always like to see. One concerning statistic is an underperformance on his XG. It potentially could mean that he's not as clinical a forward, and I feel in the Premier League you've got to have that clinicality within your game, but let's just see how that one goes. It could just be a little bit of an underlying stat, and just Bournemouth created so many opportunities. Or, you know, he faced some really good goalkeepers in the Championship. Another statistic that I like with Dominic Solanke, 0.79 goals plus assists per 90 last season. Again, very, very good stats. Higher than both the last two players we looked at from Nottingham Forest. So big tick for Dominic Solanke. Again, super low ownership as well, so could be a really good differential for your team. But like I said, I'd probably avoid owning Solanke till probably around game week 5 is when you'd look to potentially bring him in. Let him see how he gets on. Let him see if he settles. And the next player we're going to take a look at is Mr. Overhyped himself, is Armando Broja. Last season, 32 games played, only 6 goals scored. He only becomes an option within our FPL teams if he moves. There are links, there are rumours to Everton, West Ham and Newcastle. I think it's something daft like 30 million. Whoever's paying 30 million for this guy, absolute muggins. Chelsea have seen you coming. I just don't believe he's worth the hype. I don't believe he's worth the 30 million that you're paying for him. He's currently on this list as well of players that we're going to go through, including the ones we have and the ones that we're going through later. The lowest goals plus assists per 90 last season at 0.27. Just dismal. Absolutely dismal. I think if he goes to Everton and becomes their main forward, if they lose Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he potentially could become an option. But I think for me at the moment, it's a big, big avoid. And I think you can see that within his ownership as well, 1.9%. If he does move, it does make him a slightly more interesting option. But at the moment, I just think he's all hype. I don't think there's much actual quality behind the hype. Only 6 goals last season. But on the other hand, he is only still 19. He is a young man. He is developing his trade constantly as he goes through. So maybe a move away from Chelsea on a permanent could be the move that he needs. But at the moment, I would say avoid Armando Broja. And to finish off our video, we are going to look at the 2 Palace main forwards, both coming in at the same price this season, 5.5 million. We'll start on the left with Mateta. It seems like he came into favour, Patrick Vieira's favour that is, come the end of the season. As you can see, a dismal 1,145 minutes played from him, but did seem to be the main forward in Patrick Vieira's side, so we'll kind of have to see how that one plays out through pre-season, see who he favours more, Edouard or Mateta. But for me, it did seem towards the end of the season that it was Mateta. 0.47 goals plus assists per 90 as well last season for him. But my only problem with targeting these Palace forwards is their super heavy rotation. There was a period last season where everyone was jumping on the Edouard bandwagon and was benched. Yeah, just benched, just like that. Dropped out of the side. No apparent reason, no injury, nothing, just benched. Patrick Vieira is the king of Pep Roulette with his forwards. Moving on to the right-hand side, we have got Edouard, scored more goals, got more assists, more minutes played and chances created. As you can see, 6 goals, 3 assists in his first season in English forwards. Statistically speaking, Edouard does look the more better option, but it did seem that he fell out of favour in Patrick Vieira's side. He does have a higher squad selected at the moment as well, with 4.3% of people picking them. But at the moment, I would say avoid Palace forwards, just down to their poor fixtures to start the season. Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa and Manchester City. It does brighten up after that with Brentford, Newcastle, United and Brighton. But I'd say for the first 4 or 5, just leave it. Don't look at these guys. Obviously, if they start to perform well, then they definitely could become options. With them both being at the same price as well, it is just nailing who's going to be the more nailed of the 2 forwards. For me, looking at it in terms of a statistical standpoint, I probably would like to see Edouard play more games. I think he's more creative. I think he's the better finisher out of the 2. And that is where I would lean if I was going to pick a Palace option later this season when their fixtures brighten up. But at the moment, I would avoid till around game week 5 if you are looking at Palace players. And that does conclude today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Your support is massively appreciated. If you did enjoy the content that you see on the channel, why not subscribe? We are super close to 250 subs. If I have convinced you to buy any of the players as well, included in today's video, then please do leave a comment down below. But without further ado, Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you later.